Are you going to be the pit bitch holding the umbrella?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got the microphone.
I
can't do two things at once, mate. Well, Craig Dack, CDR's Craig Dack. Not the ideal day out here, mate. The idea was to come out with your motocross and off-road teams and get a bit of cross-pollination going on, get the boys chasing each other on track. But look, before we get into that, just tell us a little bit, sort of top line, how the opportunity came up for CDR to get involved with the off-road as well as the motocross team.
Well, firstly, I don't know if it was an opportunity, but no, it came up basically towards the end of last year. You know, Jeff Ballard and his successful team decided to fold up and do his own thing, which he's had plenty of time at the top doing that. So that created a hole for Yamaha that needed to be filled. And Ray Howard approached me about the possibility of doing it. And as soon as he approached me, I said yes. In principle, I said yes. But then it was just a matter of going through all the terms and conditions and how and ways we need to do this and what we want to achieve for both parties. And after months of going through that, we end up coming to a conclusion, and here we are for 2013, part of Yamaha's, or running Yamaha's off-road team.
You won 36 championships in the last 20 years. It was a pretty big milestone last year with the motocross and supercross. Obviously, when you take on a team like this, the objective is not to impact the resources and the opportunity to win more championships. So how did you sort of structure the team in such a way that you could cater for the off-road guys without affecting the existing operation?
Well, fortunately, as a rider and a team owner, I've been part of Yamaha's program for 30 years now, and so nothing's ever been any different from year to year. I sit down with, the last several years it's been Ray Howard in charge of motorsport, and for the last however many years it's been Stephen Cottrell that we lock ourselves in a room for a couple of days through and go through a process, and sometimes heated, sometimes not, sometimes easy, sometimes hard. But inevitably through those processes over 30 years, we always come up with a conclusion that seems to work for both of us, and that was no different this year. It was important for me that we didn't interfere with the success of CDR as it has been known, motocross and supercross team, and that was also equally as important for Yamaha because of our success. So it was nothing that hard for us to do. We both had to really nut out to find a way to structure it that both teams can run side by side. We would like both teams to have a similar guise or a similar look. We would like to use those sponsors across both teams, which we have done a lot with. Monza Imports have increased their involvement. Dunlop Tyres had a lot to do with off-road for a while. They're coming on board. Yamalube, GYTR, all those sponsors are all running across both teams. And so we want to keep those synergies very similar. And also, when we're developing and testing the products, that we keep that side of it separate as far as the riders are concerned. But certainly when we have a test day like today here at Appin, this test was purely booked as a motocross test. But I wanted the off-road riders to come here to be able to chase the motocross guys around and try and build up their speed and intensity.
The off-road thing is a fairly new thing for you guys, but in a lot of ways not. You've worked on the 5-valve Yamaha engine for a long, long time, particularly even with the 450 right up to, I think, 2009 was the last year there. And you won, I think, 2 of the championships with Jay Marmon on that engine. So it's not completely foreign territory to you in that now that 5-valve engine's been used in Stephen Merriman's WR450 and also the 5-valve engine in the 250. Well,
yeah, that's right. And we found the process quite simple, really, because, Gary Ben, him and I worked together for 25 years, both as a rider, mechanic, both as he's suspension technician in many areas. He's been a long-serving Yamaha guy. Jason Child, who's doing the engines across both teams, both the development and maintenance. He's been with the team for 4 or 5 years now, and he had a good tutor in Sean Hodgetts, who used to do a lot of our engines. So we try and do everything in-house, and we've got that continuity with staff and people that helps. And we've got some really, really good brains in there. And whether it's going across to the off-road thing and developing the WR and the YZ250F, which we've had very little to do with, was just no different than us getting a new year model, YZ450. Sometimes we get a major change, and sometimes it's easy, we flow straight into it, sometimes it's hard, but we still seem to be able to get on top of the product that we've got always have had a great product. And that's just not skiting about Yamaha, but it's just the facts. They've always produced a very, very good product for us to try and suit each rider for. So it's the same thing all the time.
And on a personal level, I get the sort of sense you're kind of reinvigorated a little bit, not that you were kind of No. Not that you were flat with the motocross scene, but I think it's a great new opportunity. It's a real challenge for you in a lot of ways. It seems that way to me, anyway.
Oh, for sure. It's good to, and we talked about it earlier. I don't think I'm being remiss in saying this, but if I go to a motocross and supercross now, it's just a second nature thing to me. It's like picking up a glass of water and having a drink. It just seems to happen as par for the course. But with the off-road thing, technically I have no issue about being able to get our bikes to suit each rider and all that. We've got a great base to work from, but one of the things I've got to keep my senses heightened with is all those idiosyncrasies that I don't know, using paint scrapers for tyre levers, watching radiators getting filled up with mud, working out when our fuel stops need to be.
Not using tear-offs because they're illegal.
Not using tear-offs, that's right. And it's funny, and I'll be standing there talking to Stefan, I'll be talking to Daniel Milner, and they'll just say something, go, huh, what'd you say? And they're like, oh shit, I didn't see that one coming. So, I've got to be very vigilant this year, and so is my staff, and make sure that we become a big sponge very quickly.
As I think I alluded to before, the CDR are one of the most successful teams, or the most successful team in the Australian racing scene for some time. Do you think there's likely to have some sort of spin-off benefits in terms of taking that level of professionalism into the off-road pits?
I think I'm aware of what's already out there. I know that the Husqvarna team is a pretty good gig. Also, KTM has got a very serious effort going, and they're led by Wonka, who really knows his stuff, and an ex-rider, and obviously is starting to grasp the commercial side of it quite well as also. But I would like to think we could add our flair to it. I don't want to try and come in, upset the apple cart. I don't want to come and sort of, try and pump my chest or try and be bigger or better than anybody else. I just want to go about our business in an organic and natural way, as CDR does. But I do feel that there is a bit of a changing of the guard happening with off-road. I have a feeling, and this is not disrespectful to off-road, that off-road is in a similar place to motocross was about 20 years ago when I first started this motocross team, where we had a Pantech and a couple of people as staff members, and the rest of the guys were driving around in vans. And then here we are 20 years later at the level that we're at now, and I think this is the start in some ways of where off-road is. I don't think it will ever be the glitz and glamour of motocross and supercross, but in its own right it has a really nice organic way, and I think if you upset that too much, it might be a little bit too much for off-road. But I can see definitely over the next 3 to 5 or 6 years, another step for off-road.
Look, I think it's a great opportunity for the off-road scene, and we'll really look forward to seeing you another 6 weekends of the year in the off-road pits this year, Dacker.
No, I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I went up to see my mum and dad the other day up at Foster, and I drove through Bulladila, so at least I know where the first round is.
Good luck for it, mate. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.